Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. Now, last year I posted my top 10 upcoming Roblox games of 2021. Today's video is going to be kind of similar, but also very different, as this is going to be an updated version of games I expect to see in 2022. These are all games that I'm very excited for, and I can't wait to see all of them come out. Keep in mind, this list is not in any sort of order, but I will say I'm a little bit more excited for the games at the top of the list than the bottom. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for 90,000 subscribers. This is the home stretch, guys. We only have 10,000 more to go. If you're new to the channel, right now trying to 91,000 subscribers, so I'd appreciate it. So drop a like in the video. Let's get straight into it. So for my first honorable mention, I have Shonen Smash. This is the game that actually came out earlier this year, and it closed because the owner was having some issues, but they're actually reopening it and making it part 2. This is a game that I'm personally very excited to see come out, because if you ever played a game called Super Smash Bros, this is very similar, but it's the anime version, and I love fighting games, so to see those two things coming together, it's going to be a good game. Now, I can't really say too much about this, and this is just my first honorable mention, so we're going to move on to the next one. Now, for my second honorable mention, I have Arcane Odyssey. This is a game that, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not too crazy for it, but the owner did make a game called Arcane Adventures. I loved that game when I was young. So, seeing as this is the sequel to that game, and it doesn't look half bad, this is going to be my second honorable mention. Now, Arcane Odyssey is an open world, magic-based, combat-oriented magic game, where I guess the goal is to improve your magic. I don't know too much about this game, so moving on to my third and final mention, I have Nindo Story. Nindo Story is one of the 2 Roblox Naruto games that will be on this list. And the reason why it's not on my top 10 is because I haven't seen too much from this game. It does look amazing. Nindo Story is also one of the few Roblox Naruto games that I've seen actually do gravity-based wall running scripts. And that is such an important part of Naruto to me. The only other Naruto game that I've ever seen do that are the older Career Bros games. Those came out a while ago. So, but yeah, very excited for Nindo Story. Gambit and the rest of the dev team watching, you guys have done an amazing job on the project, and I cannot wait to see what you guys cook up. And yeah, not too much to say about honorable mentions because I have way more to say about the top 10 list. Moving on to my number 10, I have Bloodlines. This is the second Roblox Naruto game that's going to be on this list. Now, Bloodlines is created by Arkham Deluxe, and from what we can see, this is a hardcore, almost roguelike Naruto game. Now, if you ever played a game called Rogue Lineage, apparently this is a Naruto take on that game. Now, we haven't seen too much from this project, but just imagine a Naruto version of Rogue. I personally would be very excited to play that. It's a combat-oriented game, and apparently there will be clans, not entirely sure. But yeah, moving on, I can't say too much about this because, like I said, we haven't seen too much. And on to my number 9. So number 9, I have Gurenge, and this is a game that I did know about, but I wasn't too sure about before. But after seeing some more sneak peeks, I can say I am excited to see this game come out. A very important part of game development, to me at least, that I feel like is kind of underlooked or overlooked is music, soundtrack, scores. That is such an important thing to me. Gurenge does that masterfully. Recently, a game called Deep Rogan came out. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's the background footage where we're watching right now, and Deep Rogan does one thing so amazingly well, and that is it has great music. Music in games is so important because it can turn a light, airy scene into a dark scene, into a chill scene. I mean, music is just so important. I feel like games don't use it enough. I will tell you guys this, to me, music is just as important as something like animations or visual effects or builds. But moving on, I'm getting off topic. Gurenge is an open world samurai magic based game, and I love that because it's very combat oriented, like the other game I was talking about. And as you guys already know, if you watched any of my videos before, I love combat, I love magic, so when these two things come together, I'm obviously gonna be a huge fan of the game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Gurenge. I can't say too much for this game, and yeah, we're gonna move on to my number 8. So number 8, I have Pixelbound. If you ever played a game called Trove before, this was literally my favorite Steam game when I was little, and this is kind of like that. So Pixelbound is a game that I only recently learned about. I can't see. Honestly, it looks very similar to Trove. There's different races, magics, weapons. So the game's description states this. I'll just go ahead and read this real quick. Pixelbound is an open world action adventure RPG set in medieval fantasy setting. The game allows players to create unique and diverse builds and multiple open-ended sources of progression in the form of quests. Note, the game is not a bandit beater. It's more of an exploring dungeon type of game. The boss fights have unique attack patterns and other ways to mix up the standard combat. The game also has a trading and economy system funded by resources collected from mob drops, and progression comes in 3 forms: magic, weapons, and class. All the UI is custom made, and the game will also include a full unique soundtrack. And that last part I didn't know about. The game getting a unique soundtrack, that shows that people are dedicated to their game. When they're getting a full custom unique soundtrack, that shows dedication. And yeah, it's Pixelbound. Very happy to see that game come out. Number 7, I have Project Slayers, and let me explain why. So as you all know, one of my favorite games on this platform is Grand Prix Online. I don't play GPO anymore because it's not as fun, but when I did play it, I played it for one reason. GPO is the most visually appealing Roblox One Piece game I've ever played. It's also the most satisfying to play. After testing Project Slayers, I can say confidently that is the most satisfying and visually appealing Demon Slayer game I have ever played. Everything about the game is just so nice in the eyes. It's just so it's just satisfying. It feels good to play. The animations are beautiful. The effects are great. The map is amazing. Whoever made the map, props to them. And one more thing about Project Slayers that I absolutely love is the attention to detail. There's even small things like a lamp you can purchase with in-game cash. Now what the lamp does is if the setting around you is dark, turning on the lamp will actually allow you to illuminate it, make your setting a lot brighter. And I love stuff like that. It's such a small detail, such a small thing that you think doesn't really matter. But the thing is, no game does these small things, and that's why it's so good. I love Project Slayers. It's overall probably the best Roblox Demon Slayer game I have ever witnessed and ever played. I had to put this at number 7 because, like I said, it just feels good to play. And when the game comes out, you guys will understand. It does feel really nice to play, and that's a big part of a game. Number 6, I have World Seed, which is an SAO game, and similar to Project Slayers, I have to say this is probably the best SAO game I've ever seen. Now, if you played Sword Art Online games on Roblox, you have to know about Swordburst 2. Either that or you just didn't play SAO games. Now, Swordburst is a game that I myself am guilty of this. I used to stay up long nights just playing this game because it was that fun. And if you think of Sword Art Online games, you have to think of Swordburst. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to. It just has to come to the mind because it's the GOAT of a SAO game. Now, World Seed to me looks like it has the potential to get on that level of where Swordburst was. Honestly, I want to see that happen because I've been needing a good SAO game. To me, Swordburst looks like it really does have the potential to get to that level or surpass it. I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most, and this is such a small detail and shows how shallow I am when it comes to games, is the capes. The thing that stood out to me the most was how the capes actually move when you move. It's such a small detail, but I just love cool stuff like that in games. That was fire. I'm very excited to see World Seed. I haven't seen too much from them lately, but from what I did see, the game does look pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on to my number 5. Now, from number 5 and up, I have a lot more to say because these are all games that I've either tested or I've seen a lot from. Number 5, I have Bushido. This is one of the few games on this list that I've actually tested. And after testing Bushido, I can say confidently that this was a list based off nothing but visuals. Pure visuals and how satisfying, smooth the game is to play. This would be at number 1. Now, the reason Bushido is so high in this tier list is because I'll get to the simple points first. The simple points I can think of is, well, the game looks beautiful. If you played Bushido or seen sneak peeks, the game looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie, the game looks good. And the combat, Bushido's combat is just so smooth. It feels so good to block an opponent, get an opening, and then hit. It's just nice. Like I said earlier, the visuals, man, the game looks beautiful. Corey is such an amazing builder, and to the rest of the team, although I don't know all their names, the game does look phenomenal. The animations, the effects, especially for clashing. I also like how Bushido takes your typical average samurai game and puts a spin on it. Like, I remember previously I tested a boss fight. Bushido is a class-based fighting game where the main focus, I assume, is to progress along the story because there is a storyline. And there are also multiple different weapons, which I assume is a class. There's bows, spears, and there's katanas. There's a few more like scythes, but I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But I'm sure you guys will see based off of the raw combat that I'm showing in the intro clips and that you're probably watching now. And it also feels good. But yeah, that's it. Number 4, I have Anime Legends. Anime Legends is a game that you've all most likely seen. I mean, the trailer on YouTube literally has around 1 million views, which is insane. Now, Anime Legends is a game that I'm personally very excited for because not only does it have Bleach, not only does it have One Piece, not only does it have Naruto, it has all of these anime and they're all in one single game and it looks good. Every single time we see all of these anime come together, it's very hit or miss because we have games like ABA, for example, where you take all these characters and that is a fun game. You also have games like Anime Fighting Simulator, which I personally would not play. But it looks like Anime Legends does actually have the potential to bring all of these anime together and actually make it look fun. I mean, to have the ability to do that it's so important because why would I play a game that has 1 anime when I can play a game that has 2, a game that has 3, and that's gonna make this game so much more popular. But getting off topic, Anime Legends is a game that has boss fights of different bosses from different anime. I remember seeing Shukaku as a Tail Beast boss fight. That was really cool. I also saw Marineford and the Yami Yami no Mi and the Gurenge no Mi. That looked sick. I'm very excited for Anime Legends, but I don't want to make this too long. It's at number 4 for a reason. Yeah, moving on to number 3, I have Scarlet Moon. Now, Scarlet Moon is a game created by Snake World, and all I gotta do is say Snake World, because you already know who that is. Snake is a dev who's worked on several big projects like AVA, Bleach Ultimate. He might have worked on NO2, I'm not too sure, but he's working on this game, Scarlet Moon, currently. And from what we can see, this is I believe it's magic based, I'm not sure. After watching the video on it, I don't think that there is magic, but I did see a priest class, but getting off topic, it is a clash based open world samurai based, I'm just gonna say open world RPG, and what we can see, the game looks so unique. This was a list similar to what I said about Bushido. If this was a list based off nothing but creativity and originality, I believe this game would probably be at number 1. Now this game is so different from what I'm used to. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a game where you can go single player or co-op, and that right there is such a cool detail to me, because I haven't seen a Roblox game come out and do something like this where you can go single player or co-op before. It's just such a cool system I don't think I've ever seen before. But yeah, it's a class-based game where I assume the goal is to progress through a story. From what I can see, I was watching a video on it and that's what it looks like. I really wish I could say more about Scarlet Moon, but I can't, as I personally don't know too much myself. But I will say, don't sleep on this game. It looks great. Definitely go watch Inferno else's video on it if you can. That's actually the only video on the game out currently. But yeah, don't sleep on Scarlet Moon. This is a game that I'm personally very excited for. And yeah, moving on. At number 2, I have Tower Bound. Now, compared to the rest of the games on this list, the effects and all that might not look as good, but there's a reason why Tower Bound is number 2. Please keep in mind that first off, this is a list of games that I'm personally more excited to play. So don't take it to heart if the game that you want to be at number 2 and number 1 isn't there. It's just that this is a list of my personal preferences. Now, recently I got the chance to watch, or I've had to read Tower of God. And I can say after reading Tower of God that it is one of the few, I think it's called manhwas, I'm just gonna say mangas, that I've read that gets close to the level of One Piece for me. If you know me, if you watch any of my videos, you know that One Piece is my favorite anime of all time. I love One Piece, and Tower of God is almost at that level for me. Now, Tower Bound, after playing it, I could say completely takes Tower of God, both the anime and the manga, and puts it into a Roblox game. It perfectly adapts. Tower of God is Tower Bound. Tower Bound is Tower of God. There's different classes like Light Bear, Fisherman, Wave Bear. The game is just so beautifully put together, and on top of that, it's just really fun to play. Now, it might not have GBO level graphics, but the game is just overall fun to play, and I feel like that's what matters more. A game's playability over its, I guess, the way it looks. You guys get my point. I love Tower Bound. It's probably gonna be one of my favorites when it does get released. And yeah, moving on to number 1. Number 1, I have Emblem Tales. This is a class-based MMORPG. This is a very combat-oriented game. I personally am very excited for this purely because I love combat. I love fighting games. This is my type of thing. And also see that this game is bringing back something that I honestly missed in games, and that's boss fights. You know, to team up with a party of friends and kill bosses. That's one of my favorite parts of games. Emblem Tales overall just looks like a really solid game. I can't wait to play this personally. I wish I had more to say about the game, but there really isn't too much. I mean, everything about the game just looks great. The animations, the models, the builds. I do have to say, whoever built the map for Emblem Tales, just looking at the previews for the game, looks pretty damn solid. And yeah, it's pretty much it. It's my top 10 upcoming Roblox games 2022. Not all of these were anime. I actually think less than half were anime. Could have been more, I'm not sure. Remember, this is a list of my personal opinion. And yeah, now please keep in mind that this was my top 10. So some games that you thought were going to be at number 1 aren't at number 1. Please remember that this is subject to change. Not every game that I want to put on here could put in here. There were some games that I wanted to put in here, but I couldn't because I did actually DM the owner of pretty much all of the games. I might have missed 1 or 2. I hope I didn't. I DM'd every single game owner for all the games on this list. I DM'd everybody and asked, hey, can I put this in the top 10? Some said no. Like there was a game called Blox Hero. I wanted to put that in an honorable mention, and the owner should have didn't want me to put it in there because some games would rather stay low key, and I understand that, which is why I asked everybody. So if there was a game that you guys thought should be on here, a game that's really popular, just think maybe I couldn't put it in here because there were a few that I really wanted to put in here. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. This is kind of weird making a video like this because obviously not everybody's gonna be happy. Some people are gonna want a game to be in this list that I straight up just couldn't put in. But like I said, if a game that you wanted to be put at like number 2 or number 3 was at number 5 or number 6, don't get too mad at that because like I said earlier, this is a list of games that I wanted to see based off my personal preference. So if a game is at number 2 or number 1 like Tower Bound or Emblem Tales, these are games that I'm more excited to play than a game like, I don't know, just a game in general. Just please keep in mind that this is a list based off my personal preference. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Some games moved up, some games moved down. Just know it's based off my hype and my anticipation for the game. This list is completely biased. It's all personal preference. That's pretty much it. I'm done ranting. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that sub button because we're grinding for that star code. Grind star to 100,000. That's the goal right now. You guys are watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.